Well, for his take, let's welcome former Reagan economist Art Laffer. Art, it's great to see you. I got to ask you about this Yellen thing. This was a study in trying desperately to deny something, but at the end of the day, not being able to do it. She can't deny that her department targeted, your Cabela's purchases. What do you think about this?
Well, let me just say, just for background, Brian, that I was with George Shultz when he went from the director of the Office of Management and Budget to being Secretary of the Treasury, and I was with Bill Simon as well, 2 days a week with them. So when they took control of the Treasury, they knew what was going on inside of the Treasury, and they would never tolerate something like that happening. I could tell you all sorts of personal stories about that when there were hints made at doing something like this, and George just said, don't. Just do your job, and that's it. And don't do this. Janet Yellen is not in control of the Treasury. She is not in control of these processes. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if she really was complicit in doing this. But she doesn't know what's going on in the Treasury, and it's happening. And she is answering honestly there, but it's a tragic shame. The Treasury should be impartial, unbiased, and straight. All of that, and this really is a very high smell on the Treasury and should really not have happened. And I know what they tried to do that, and this was under the Nixon administration and then under the Ford administration where I was privy to all of this, and those people then would not have allowed it, and Janet Yellen should have been in charge and should not have allowed it and should have known about it. She didn't know about it, Brian, and that's scary.
I think that's a great point, great historical context. I want to go to the economy, Art. Fortune magazine reporting that despite the Biden administration touting the economy, they're not convincing worried voters. And let me just give you, my theory is there's a sense of fragility. Things might seem okay in ways, but it also seems like it could fall apart in a second. What's your read on this?
Well, Brian, you're a professor, and what you have to look at is what are the things that people are concerned with. They're not concerned with inflation rates going up or down. They're concerned with price levels and what it costs to buy something, and that's a very different thing than inflation. Inflation has been coming down, but prices are still going up, albeit at a slower rate. And what are they, about 18% since Biden came in? That's a tragedy. People are terrified by that. Employment, unemployment rates are very low, Brian, but people aren't so worried about that. What they're worried about is employment rates. And employment rates are really, really, really low, too, because everyone has left the labor force because of all the big transfer payments that have been met there. We're way below the production levels we should be. Now, GDP did grow at almost 3%. It was a nice number for growth, but that's not what they look at. What they look at is the level of production. We want to know how many goods and services we produce, and they don't understand this. Mortgage rates may be coming down, but mortgage rates are high. And all of this stuff, they don't understand how to use economics, Brian, and that's just tragic. It's not a good economy, and the people are correct.
Art, what you're getting to is the issue of affordability. Larry Kudlow has been great on that. I know you've been great on it, and you're right. Who cares about inflation rates ultimately when inflation has gone so high that the price level is where it is, and you're looking at a cut of meat and you're saying, I still can't afford it. Art, I got to leave it there, sir. It's always good to see you. Thanks for being with us today.
Great to see you, Brian. Thank you for having me.
You bet, sir.